Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is a Swiss photographic artist based between London, UK, and Fort Worth, Texas. She moved to Texas from her native Switzerland in 2009 to pursue her degree from TCU and begin her competitive cutting horse riding career. She has studied at the New York Film Academy and completed a Master of Art History and Art World Practice at Christie's in London. Her work focuses on the relationship between horse and human, in particular women. She uses horses as a backdrop for exploring themes of intimacy and identity, connection, and power dynamics. Silhouettes, let's welcome Constance Jaeggi to the show. Hello, Constance.
Hi, Amber. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am so thrilled to be with you today as you share your Silhouette of Success story with us. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Excellent. Thank you. So to help illustrate the shaping of your silhouette of success, let's begin by having you share a little bit about your background with the audience.
Of course. So I'm a freelance photographer. As you said, I split my time between the UK and Texas. And when I'm in Texas, I live on a horse ranch. My day-to-day life, every day is a little bit different. If I'm not at a photo shoot, you can usually find me taking care of my farm animals, riding. I'm also a competitive cutting horse rider, editing on my computer or printing in my darkroom. I have a darkroom here at the ranch, and I spend a lot of time in there working on my photography in the old school way, which I love.
Yeah, there is something about tradition, isn't there, in doing it a traditional way that's just connects you sometimes deeper with the projects of whatever the realm you work in, a creative aspect. So you talked a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day. So would you say, because our audience is always curious about how does she do it? How does she accomplish this or that? Would you say that when the alarm goes off in the morning, and of course you've got the animals to take care of, but would you say you are more of a structured type of individual, or are you, as a creative portion of that, are you more of a spontaneous? Do you like routine? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it's, I am someone who likes structure, and having chosen a path that having chosen kind of a creative line of work, that comes with a lot of lack of structure, I suppose. So the structure has to come from within. I have to impose that on myself. And that is something that I strive to do. So I set myself goals. I love lists, and I make a lot of lists of things that I have to do each day. So I really try to impose that structure on myself. But part of the beauty of leading a creative life is that you do have room for, room to create and room to be spontaneous. And so I think a balance of both is probably what I strive for.
Awesome. And I would think that you've got quite a competitive streak in you.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I I actually moved to the US originally because I wanted to pursue a competitive career in the cutting horse industry. So I applied to colleges in Texas, and I went to TCU. I got into TCU. And my first, I would say my first 5 years here, really, I was focusing on kind of becoming a better rider and winning the titles that I wanted to win. And it's really through the horses that I got into photography. I was spending a lot of time on the road during like spring breaks and all of the time off I got. And I see kind of cutting horse competition and riding as one kind of form of expression. There is a creative side to that. And I think photography is just another way of me expressing my fascination with horses. And so, yeah, I turned my camera onto horses and kind of discovered a passion for photography through them, which has been really exciting.
That's such a great journey within a journey that you were able to find that. So talking about that as you maybe discovered that portion of your current Silhouette of Success experience, or this, chapter of your life, where did the passion for the horses come from for you? Did you have it early on? Did you grow up loving horses, having horses? Where did you find that avenue?
I was born in the UK. We were there for the first 10 years of my life. And then we moved back to Switzerland with my family. That's where everyone's originally from. And I really, in both places, lived in pretty suburban environments, not around farm animals, not around animals. I don't really know where that desire came from. I think a lot of little girls have, are attracted to the idea of riding horses for whatever reason, whether it's something that we see in the movies or I'm not too sure what spurred that, but it's definitely something that I fixated on. Once my parents got me riding lessons, I was totally hooked, and I really wanted to make a life for myself with horses at the center of that. And cutting really got me into that, brought me to Texas. And I think photography has kept me, my work really does focus on horses. Are pretty central, I would say, to most of the work that I've produced. So yeah, it's just been this enduring love story, I guess. And I think now I get to live it more through my photography, because that's just the path that I've chosen.
Well, and for our audience, who of course will get to go check everything out once they listen to your photography, it stopped me in my tracks. And we're going to talk about that next. But it's absolutely breathtaking.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because it's, I talk about sometimes, and maybe you can envision this, there's different things in our visual world that we'll see, and maybe some things, glittery or eye candy, but yours is it just hits the soul. In each photograph speaks differently. So again, I get goosebumps. I got goosebumps when I saw the exhibit. So who do you think, or who would you, if you can think of somebody, maybe most influenced you or aided you to embark on this career path? How did that work for you? Did you have somebody kind of supporting you and, as you say, and spurring you on?
I think that when I initially got into photography, I didn't really have anyone or anything that, besides just my drive, my desire to express myself and to express my passion for horses. And the New York Film Academy opened me up to kind of the art world and the world of photography. And I've later on, continued on that path while doing my master's in London. But I think in Texas, I always struggled to find other creatives to bounce ideas off of. I wasn't, because the horse industry is not really a creative world. So I didn't really have those resources. And it's not until I spent some time in the UK and I met a book editor who then became, so he edits photography books and works for some of the biggest photographers around the world. And it's not until I met him that I really found kind of a mentor. And I would say that that's one of the, as a creative, it's really important to have someone, if not a couple people, but at least one person that you really trust in sharing your vision with. And someone who is able to give you both positive and negative feedback. Because I can show my work to my friends and to my family who are going to be biased and tell me that everything is great. But having someone who is able to give you criticism is really, really important. And Stuart has been that person for me. And I worked with him on the project The Devils, which I think is the one you're referring to, the exhibition at the Cowgirl Museum. And he really helped me find my style. So, that I would say that he's been one of the bigger influences in my career. And that project is, I think, is a marked shift in my photography. It's very different from the initial studio portraits that I was doing of horses. This is a project that's a lot more intuitive. It's all shot on film. It's more of a story. I mean, I'm really telling a story of a group of people and their relationship with these animals.
That's outstanding. And yes, I was definitely referring to the Devils solo exhibition, I guess. Is that the correct terminology?
Yes.
Yes.
It's actually since then, it's traveled a bit. So it's been exhibited in Switzerland at the Swiss Photo Festival, and it was exhibited in Venice, Italy this summer. It's going to Rome, Italy in September, and then it's also going to South Korea. So it's traveled quite a bit. It's been a huge kind of shift for me in my career as a creative, for sure.
That is just mind-blowing. Good for you. Talk to us. What was the inspiration behind, because I was curious as someone who was viewing it, the name, The Devils. Talk to us about the project itself, and then I'll have you share some of your awards, and then talk a little bit about the book that followed.
Sure. Well, so the story is, I was in the UK doing my master's. The pandemic hit and things got very, very strict in the UK. I know that Texas had a few weeks of lockdown, but in the UK we had like 2.5 years of lockdown. It was the craziest thing ever. And I was isolating in the English countryside at a farm called the Devil's Horseman. The Devil's Horseman is it is the leading supplier of horses to the film industry. And that's just the name of the company, the Devil's Horseman. And I started photographing them. I started working with my mentor on shaping it into a full-blown project and then into a book. And I suppose, it kind of became a little bit of I've talked about it as sort of a meditative experience, because creating this project and photographing these people gave me purpose throughout the pandemic, when everything else was shut down and socializing wasn't legal and this and that. It was a little bit of a dark time as well. And I think that's reflected in the images and it's about isolation, it's about loneliness, but it's also about connection and hope. So it has all of these kind of feelings mixed into them. And it really is about creating an atmosphere. I was trying to convey an atmosphere when making those images. And the Devil's Horsemen, they colloquially refer to themselves as the Devils for short, which I thought, I just felt was kind of fitting for the mood as well. So that's how the title came about.
What a fascinating behind the scenes understanding, because the images do portray that. And again, they each individually, for speaking, of course, for myself, invoked a different emotion. It was a feeling of intimacy, but it's interesting to hear you as the artist also share those different emotions that accompanied the experience for you. But what a saving project
Yeah,
as well.
it really was. It was, I, I think as a creative, most creatives know that periods of difficulty usually lead to tremendous growth. And that's definitely how I feel um, about this project. I feel like it was really tough. And it was also, it's led me down a whole new path. And so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for all the people who opened up. It was also a very different way of working for me, because up until then, I'd always photographed horses on their own in a studio setting. So there's not, I mean, the interaction is different. And when you're all of a sudden photographing people, it's a whole new experience. And photographing people over a long period of time, 2.5, 3 years, was amazing, because they eventually got to the point where they forgot I was there. I became kind of, I sunk into the environment, so to speak, and they were really able to become themselves, or to relax around me and to relax around the camera. And I think that helped me kind of capture some kind of essence of their lives, I suppose.
It's you're painting this visual for me of almost this enchanting mystique about the whole, the whole situation. I can just envision all of it with you. Oh, goosebumps again. So as talking through a little bit about that and more in general, as a creative business owner, or, creative in general, where do you turn to for support?
I would say I have a handful of people that are creatives, and I have my mentor. I would say that I go to them when I, get stuck or need inspiration. I'm also someone who's constantly reading, listening to podcasts, trying to learn and progress. I feel like if I haven't learned something today, then I haven't done my job somehow. So I think I just try to keep learning. I just try to keep progressing in some way or another. And then, like I said, I have two people really that I turn to. And lastly, I would say, if I feel a little bit stuck, my motto is just get out and shoot. I find that helps loosen me up. And I'm sure I know some writers that have a similar, motto when they get writer's block. It's, just write something, whatever it is, even if it's terrible. Just get out there.
Just kind of unlock it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let it free flow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So thinking about that too, and that's fantastic advice. When you are in your flow, what have you found, or can you think of something with regards to that? Positive adjustments, maybe that you have witnessed in your own life or environment that have helped to support maybe your growth or your dreams or some of your goals. Can you think of some things that you've done?
What do you mean by positive adjustments?
Maybe something that, we call these coffee chats sometimes. So, are there things that you do or have implemented that have helped you take that next step? But maybe that's just what you shared with me.
Yeah,
sometimes you just get out and shoot.
I think getting out there. I think one of the I guess one of the fears that I have to constantly fight is the fear of creating work that's bad, and that's what gets me stuck. And so I think forcing myself to get out there, forcing myself to apply to various, whether it's portfolio reviews, like various ways of engaging with the photography community, giving myself little kind of challenges, that helps me. That's one of the things that I've kind of started implementing over the past 2 years, actually. And I applied for some portfolio reviews through a photography organization, and I got a review with the photo editor of The Guardian, and pitched my project to her. And I'd never done anything like that. I'd never pitched my work to anyone, so it was a totally new experience. And I really thought of it as practice, but it did end up leading to publication. And I think getting yourself out of your comfort zone is probably, that's probably the thing that I try to do the most.
And we just heard that with that deep breath, right? It's like, oh, yes. But you did it. That was almost I went through it. I did the process. It happened, whenever it did in your past, but it's like, oh, I made it.
And I also feel like sometimes picking up the phone, making that phone call, starting the process, and then you'll have the consequences to deal with later. And that's exactly what you want. So I'm setting myself these little goals, just do it and see what happens. And I guess, I don't know if that really answers your question, but
it answered many of my questions. And I'm looking here, it's funny. As I, have, you prepare and you set up and you've got your, I have my script and my standard questions, but then we let the conversation go where it goes. But you answered like 4 of them. So that was great. So in talking through, and maybe we talk about that situation, which was pitching your project as something completely new for you. And maybe you pick something different, but I'll ask you a 2-part question and, let it go where it goes. But was there ever a specific point in time or event, and maybe it was the Devil's Project in the lockdown, but where you faced something that really forced you, if you will, to take a monumental shift within your business or career? And whether positive or painful, how did going through that situation help you grow?
Yeah, I would say, I've thought about this. I would say that the pandemic was probably a turning point for me, because it did force me to utilize my environment in a way that I hadn't utilized it before to create work, because I didn't have, I was in a new place. I didn't have a client base like I do in Texas. So I had essentially no work. I had to make it for myself. And I just took what was in my environment and made it into something. And I think that gave me a whole new perspective on what photography can be for me. It's also taken me away from kind of more, I would say maybe slightly more commercial photography work, into this new realm that's somewhere between fine art and photojournalism. So I think I'm very interested in telling stories and focusing on stories of people that I can relate to. So really people that that kind of interact with horses some way or another in their lives. But I am very influenced by kind of my beginnings as a photographer. So there is a fine art element to it. And I think what that project did for me and what that time did for me is it showed me how I can blend these 2 influences, the storytelling aspect and this fine art aspect. And then I would say that another key turning point would be finding a mentor. That has really shifted my perspective on how I work. Stuart helped me find my style. He helped reinforce what was good about my work. And then he taught me a lot too about how to sequence images to create a story. So really the art of editing images not editing in the sense like not in Photoshop, but yeah, putting images side by side to kind of create a whole. That has been something that I will take further in my career, and it's been a huge, period of growth, I would say.
That wisdom, advice, and guidance of Stuart as a mentor, and everybody else, of course, that has supported you in your journey, invaluable blessings.
Absolutely.
And you're passing those on. And I will say that again to our audience, please, just go embrace and just surround yourself in her work, because Constance, it's got almost like a rhythmic grace, kind of sometimes with almost like a primal, but just a beauty. And I think, again, as a little girl of horse lovers myself, there is something about it. And again, I can gush all day over you and your work. So, Constance, we're going to take a quick, thank you, episode sponsor break here.
Sure.
And we will be right back. One second.
Is it time to sell your home? Build that dream home. Right size? Or are you ready to invest in real estate? Couture Real Estate Firm is a local female-owned independent brokerage laser-focused on services exclusively tailored to our clients' real estate goals. With our forward-thinking business model, we have a fully mobile luxury real estate concept allowing convenience, flexibility, efficiency for our clients in style. Amber Weitzer, broker-owner of Couture Real Estate Firm, has over 20 years in the real estate industry and is a second-generation broker. She provides straightforward business practices, integrity, and intelligence with a commitment to a high-touch, consistent customer service experience. We take great pride in our reputation as a strong, referral-based brokerage. Discretion, tenacity, respect, and proactive business practices have earned Couture Real Estate Firm a loyal, repeat client business with a trusted global partner network. We strive for ultimate client satisfaction with successful results, doing it with class, consciousness, and a little avant-garde. In addition to serving our clients and vendor partners, we are extremely honored to be actively engaged in supporting the communities we serve by promoting small businesses, schools, and nonprofits. Real estate is direct sales business at its core, and we are highly trained sales professionals with the Mike Ferry organization, adding dimension to the industry. Passionate about customer service, dedicated to client satisfaction, and driven to achieve successful results for our clients. Call Couture Real Estate Firm today at 817-233-7239 to discuss your real estate goals.
All right, my lady, we are back. So, Constance, we all crave great resources. I think, as you mentioned, growth and reading and listening and learning something every day. And so is there anything that you would want to share with us? Do you have maybe a favorite book or author, resource, podcast, anything that you'd want to share that might help encourage, uplift, and grow our minds as the audience?
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot here.
I am. Anything that might be a favorite.
I'm trying to think because I literally can't come up with anything specific. I mean, in terms of podcasts, I have a really wide range of interests. So
share.
I listen to science podcasts. I listen to history podcasts. I listen to just about everything. ArtNet does a really good art-related podcast that just updates people on kind of the art market. That's one that I follow. I feel like I have my foot in several worlds. And then I look at a lot of photography. I mean, I look at the British Journal of Photography. I look at Lens Culture. Magnum is a great organization that I follow that's more kind of established photographers. Lens Culture is more emerging. I mean, these are all the kind of resources that I keep going back and forth from to stay updated on what's going on in the art world, in the photography world, but also to stay inspired, I suppose. And, you know, I have a handful of photographers whose work I really admire. One of them is Susan Mazelis. She would be one. Some of the kind of old school American photographers like William Klein. Sally Mann is another photographer whose work I've always really admired, particularly her family portraits, her family project. So yeah.
That's excellent. And it's all, there's going to be a common thread with everything that you're listening to and you're immersing in that reflects in what you do. All of those things seem to have that common touch.
I think as a photographer, staying, especially the type of photography that I do, staying in touch with what is happening in the world, you know, what the currents are, I guess, what the influences are of where we're heading is really important, because if I am telling stories, then I need to understand the context. And so I'm currently developing my next project, which is about cowgirls. And, you know, I think this is a really exciting time to be focusing on this kind of subgroup of women, because of everything that's going on, you know, politically, environmentally. There's just a lot of implications. And yeah, I think staying up to date with current events is one of those things that I try to do to better inform myself.
Well, you have again now piqued my interest. So perhaps we'll do a part 2 down the road. Oh my gosh. I've got 2 pages of notes. All right, my lady. So in respecting your schedule, we will begin to wrap up here. So I know you've got lots to do. Constance, it has been an utter joy visiting with you. And as we begin to wrap up, is there a piece of go-to advice or intentional inspiration, and more, if you will, that you'd like to share with our audience? Is there something that you just almost have a motto or live by?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's something that I'm still working on myself, but I would say dedication and commitment. And I try to remember those 2 words in everything that I do. Dedicate yourself and commit to, you know, what you want to achieve. So,
yeah. Awesome. 2 bold and strong words.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. No excuses in either of those.
No excuses. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, my lady. So where can our audience go to connect or follow and support you on maybe your socials and support you in your continued success? The stage is yours.
Well, I have a website, which is just ConstanceJaeggi.com. And I also have an Instagram that I use quite frequently, which same again is just my handle is my name.
Yeah, love it. And we will be sure and put those links in the resource section. So it's completely seamlessly easy for the audience to find and connect with you and support you. Wonderful. Constance, thank you once again for sharing part 1. We're going to say that of your silhouette of success with us. You have been truly powerful and enlightening and an inspiration for me personally, and I know for the rest of us. So thank you once again for spending time.
Thank you.
All right, my lady, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.